I think I'll do that. If you're all good with it, I'm going to pull the two ordinances, second reading of it.
Just be quiet, they gotta be.
Penny, we're on. We're on.
Ready to go. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our meeting on November the 21st of 2019. I call this meeting to order. We will have our invocation tonight by Dr. Vic Young, pastor of the Fountain of Life Baptist Church. And if we will all rise and stay standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Pastor.
Let us pray. Father, in the name of Jesus, do we come into your holy presence. We thank you that your word tells us, if any man lacks wisdom, let him ask of God who giveth liberally. Father, I ask that you to bless this governing body, these leaders in our community, and the decisions they make and the discussions they carry forth. Let us all realize the privilege we have of living in this area. We thank you for this nation. We pray for its leaders. Guide us in all things for your glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Peterson, before we get started, we have numerous citizens in the audience tonight, and I think if the commission's okay with this, we will pull number 7A and 7B and C forward, and we will hear those before we do license. Or actually, we'll do it right before the consent agenda. Commissioners, are y'all okay with that? Okay. All right.
Do you need a motion?
Not to move on the agenda, no.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Peterson?
First order of business is consideration of the minutes of your meeting held on Thursday, November the 7th.
Commissioners?
Move for approval?
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any other discussion? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Mayor Brock?
Yes.
This time we will take care of proclamations, the first being a proclamation supporting Giving Tuesday. If the representatives of Girls on the Run would come forward, please.
Thank you for being here. We have a little girl on the run in the lobby who's going to come in just a minute, so this is good. Well, I'm very honored to read this proclamation tonight. Get my glasses on. Whereas Giving Tuesday was established as a day of giving on the Tuesday following Thanksgiving, and whereas Giving Tuesday is a celebration of philanthropy and volunteerism, where people give whatever they are able to give. And whereas Giving Tuesday is a day where citizens work together to share commitments, rally for favorite causes, build a stronger community, and think about other people. And whereas it is fitting and proper on Giving Tuesday and on every day to recognize the tremendous impact of philanthropy, volunteerism, and community service in our community. And whereas Giving Tuesday is an opportunity to encourage citizens to serve others through this holiday season and during other times of the year. Now, therefore, I, Jenny L. Brock, Mayor of the City of Johnson City, ask all citizens to join together to give back to the community throughout the year. So, thank you for coming. Let's give them a hand right here.
Thank you for having us.
Tell us what we're in store for.
I'm Becky Dunkelberger, and I am the Council Director for Girls on the Run of Northeast Tennessee. And we are gearing up for our 5K, which is December 8th. So we are taking part in Giving Tuesday, which is a national day of giving. We are trying to raise $5,000 5K for our 5K, and all of that money goes directly back in to support our Girls on the Run. girls and provide scholarships for them to participate in the program. We are doing that through sponsorships, we're doing it through personal donations, and we'll be doing a big push on social media and through email, and we invite you all to help us out, either monetarily, and if that's not available to you, through volunteering. We will send out volunteer links that same day and encourage people to sign up to volunteer at our 5K, which is, again, December 8th, where all of the 490 participants that we have participating in our area through Johnson City, Kingsport, Bristol, the Tri-Cities, and even into Southwest Virginia will come together at Thomas Stadium at East Tennessee State University and do a big 5K celebration. And they'll complete a 5K all together. They've been working towards this goal for the past 10 weeks, and we are excited to celebrate with them. So we invite you all to give that way as well.
Thank you very much, and here's the proclamation. And so everybody come out and do the 5K. They can
Also
The public can participate as well, is that right?
Fundraiser,
Very
so
good.
we invite you to come out and run with us and celebrate these girls and
Okay.
their hard work and accomplishments.
Well, we will wish good weather.
Thank you.
Thank you.
too.
Okay.
Mayor, at this time, we have special guests from the lobby to come forward in hopes of receiving a presentation for the turkey pardon and recognition of the upcoming Turkey Trot event.
Okay, and who might be coming, Mr. Peterson?
It could be our fine feathered friend who is fattened and ready for the feast, looking for a pardon.
Now I see.
We found this bird wandering our city. Instead of ending up on somebody's dinner table, would you have other plans for him?
Officer, I'm so glad you found this bird because this bird definitely does lead the turkey trot.
Well, I thought I saw the picture on the post office wall, but I wasn't sure.
Well, we didn't know what had happened to him. He's been wandering around, so thank you for bringing him in. Maybe you could take the cuffs off then.
Okay, we'll do it. If you'll take custody of this bird.
Uh-oh.
That's the wrong
Have you
key.
bought your turkey for Thanksgiving yet?
I may have.
Well, in order for us to take custody, Ms. Hubbs, who puts on the race for us from the Goose Chase, you will take custody along with some young folks here? Okay. Well, in order for me to do that, I'll have to read this proclamation, okay? So due to the contributions that this fine feathered bird has made toward the health and wellness of our citizens in leading the turkey trot, one of our most beloved community events, and in the spirit of this wonderful season of Thanksgiving, I hereby decree and grant a full mayoral pardon to Trotter the turkey. May he live a full, we gotta get a hand for you. May he live a full and blessed life at the helm of many events for years to come. And I will sign that, Jenny L. Brock, Mayor of the City of Johnson City. Thank you. Karen, you want to tell us about the turkey trot? Sure.
We're excited. We're on pace to actually have our largest crowd ever. Last year we had 4,255 registered runners and walkers, but this year we're ahead of that, so we're excited. We just found out this sort of a good news, which Ms. Mayor Brock does not know about, but the firehouse is going to give away 4 turkeys ready just to put in the microwave and eat on the table that night at the turkey trot. We're going to have some contests after the race, and so we want everybody to come out, and we have a school competition going on. Actually, a dance competition between 4 schools, Lake Ridge, 2 from Fairmont, and then we have a Kingsport school that's participated in a Let's Do the Turkey Trot dance on Facebook. So please go vote. We will announce it live on Daytime Tri-Cities on Monday, and we're excited.
And we have a special way we bring the American flag in, right?
We do. Jump Tennessee out of Greenville will actually bring in the American flag before the race, and so it's become a tradition of ours. This will be our 3rd year doing that, and of course I mentioned the school competition, but we give away through the Up and Adam Turkey Trot proceeds. We give away almost $3,500 to schools each year. So over $50,000 this committee has given away to our local schools throughout the duration of the turkey trot. And on top of that, they've given away $200,000 back to the community through everything from tannery knobs to the Tweetsa Trail. We've done some playgrounds and just all sorts of things. And it's been a great event for all of us. Thank you.
Well, I think, Commissioners, I believe you have gotten your Turkey Trot official shirts. And so I want to give you a personal invitation to come down and be on the stage with us as we shoot the gun for our 14th annual Turkey Trot. So we know that we'll have at least 5,000 people down in the street, so make sure you come. It's the place to be on Thanksgiving morning, so thank you. And young man, would you mind escorting the turkey out?
Don't let the turkey trip.
Your next order of business will be consideration of a beer license application for Stellar Acquisitions LLC, doing business as Stellar Pizzeria, located at 6681 Bristol Highway, Suite 50, located in Piney Flats. This is a request for a Class 1 on-premise beer license. The property is appropriately rezoned. All reviews have been made, finding no disqualifying factors, and the recommendation is for approval of the application.
Is the applicant here, please? Thank you. Come on up to the podium, and if you would state your name, address. Yeah, right there. Uh-huh.
My name is Arlene Sanchez Venus.
Okay, and your address, please?
The business is
Business is fine.
6681 Bristol Highway, Piney Flats, Tennessee, Suite 50.
Okay, and have you read the rules and regulations about selling alcohol in the
I
city of
have.
Johnson City? And do you agree to abide by those?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good, thank you. Commissioners?
Move for approval?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or questions? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Mayor Brock?
Now you have a chance to tell about the business and
Thank you. We are in the Food City Plaza. We're offering Piney Flats another sit-down dining restaurant. So far, the people are loving it, have options, and business is growing, and we look forward to it growing more now.
well, thank you very much, and we will come out and
Good luck.
Thank you.
Next order of business is consideration of a street closure request to accommodate the Christmas tree lighting to be held on Friday, December the 6th. This will involve closing portions of King and Commerce Street from 8 a.m. that day until 10 p.m. The appropriate reviews have been made, finding no disqualifying factors, and we would recommend your approval.
absolutely. Commissioners?
Move for approval?
Second.
Any other discussion? We'll tell about it here in just a second, too. Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Mayor Brock?
Yes. Well, I'll go ahead and say a few words about our Christmas tree lighting. This is our 4th year. We started back the city Christmas tree down kind of close to Our Lady of the Fountain, and we ran out of space because so many people showed up. So now we've moved it over to King Commons. And it's going to be a grand night. You have to bring your children and grandchildren down, and just yourselves, because you'll want to see what's going on. You may have gotten a sneak preview to know that the Clydesdale horses are going to be in Johnson City for our Christmas parade. But they will also be at our Christmas tree lighting on Friday night, and one of them will be there. So it's a photo op. You can get your picture. The Christmas tree is beautiful, and then it all sits under the shadow of our landmark sign over in King Commons. So it will be a real special night to come down as a family and enjoy the lighting of the Christmas tree. So we want to send out a special invitation to everybody. We can get a big crowd there, so come on down. Thank you, Mr. Peterson.
I think this is the location you wanted to move the zoning items to.
Yes, please.
First item is ordinance number 4711-19. An ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Johnson City, Tennessee, being part of the appendix to ordinance number 1519, entitled "An Ordinance to Adopt a Code of Laws and Ordinances for the City of Johnson City, Tennessee, and to repeal all laws and ordinances in conflict therewith, and amendatory thereof by changing from R2 Low Density Residential District to RP3 Planned Residential District. Certain property located at 3230 Greenwood Drive is ready for your consideration on second reading, and I will remind you that third reading will be held, or public hearing will be held at third reading at your next meeting. And this was due to the notification being sent but not getting published in time to meet the 15-day requirement that public hearings be notified for. So the public hearing will be at your next meeting.
Mr. Mitchell?
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, Mr. Peterson,
Actually, just a point of information, I'm going to be recusing myself to avoid potential appearance of conflict of interest, so I'll go ahead and let that be known before you start, Preston, sorry.
Thank you.
that's all right. No, I was just going to say that Mr. Peterson summed this up well. The only thing I really need to add is this is a piece of property that's about 11 and a half acres on the north side of Greenwood Drive, here at the intersection of Greenwood and Willow Springs. Again, it's about 11 and a half acres, and the proposal is for a 66-lot subdivision. That's the concept plan that's associated with the rezoning. And again, the request is to rezone from R2 to RP3. This did pass Planning Commission and has passed you on first reading. As Mr. Peterson stated, the normal public hearing for tonight, normally public hearing does occur on the second reading. We apologize sincerely, but again, there was an error there was a delay in getting the ads posted in the newspaper within the statutory minimum time frame, which is 15 days, and so the public hearing will be held on December 5th. That's certainly not to exclude or suggest that anyone from this area that's concerned not be here tonight. Every phone call that I've had, I've recommended that folks still be here, be a part of the process. And that either the commission can defer action tonight and push that to December 5th for second reading, or you could act tonight on second reading. So turn it back over to you, Mayor.
Mr. Mitchell, would you just go ahead and review for us? I know y'all have done some traffic, you look at traffic out in that area, relative to the new addition of more homes in this particular area. If you could review that, and then just the neighborhood meeting, if there was a neighborhood meeting, or the input that was received at the Planning Commission.
We'll start with the traffic information. Looking at this slide right here, all of this information was gathered by Hassan Venard, our development coordinator, in coordination with our city engineering folks. So I'm really going to be kind of regurgitating, reiterating what has been stated by Mr. Venard. But you'll note here that Willow Springs Road is a local street and can accommodate up to 1,500 trips per day. The trip generation from this particular subdivision is proposed at roughly 513, so there is a capacity gap on Willow Springs Road. And so based on those numbers and based on analysis that has been conducted by our engineering department, they have not found that this would have a negative impact on our surrounding street network. I realize that's not a qualitative statement, that's a quantitative statement, but from the engineering folks, they have stated that this would not have a negative impact on our surrounding streets. Regarding the neighborhood meeting, the applicant, Mr. Tim Carter, who, at least I thought I saw him, he held a neighborhood meeting actually on site here, and I understood that it was well attended. Mr. Venard, the development coordinator, he was there as well. He would need to speak to some of the specifics, but they did get into the conversation at the Planning Commission regarding concerns over traffic and transportation, stormwater, compatibility of the proposed housing type, a number of concerns that you oftentimes hear with new subdivision development. And ultimately, though, the Planning Commission was consistent or agreed with the consistency of this development with our future land use plan and voted in favor.
Will there be any upgrades on Greenwood Drive, the deceleration lane, or is all that adequate for the new traffic that would go in out there?
Engineering has studied it, and based on the concept plan, it is adequate.
There's other questions?
Question about I think you've answered this in previous meetings, but any water issues in building those units and then moving the water off of that space into, and where would the water go?
The water is required to go to a designed and predetermined device that holds that water for a certain period of time and then releases the water at a rate that cannot exceed the rate that the water leaves the site today as a green piece of property. So the way you see it today, when it rains, that water runs to a particular point, and it does so at a certain rate. Even after the development of 66 homes, the way their stormwater device must be designed and constructed must contain that water and then allow it to leave the site at the same rate.
Will that be in addition to the detention area now that serves the neighborhood that's currently there?
It would be in addition to,
In addition to.
correct, right.
Right, Commissioners, is there a motion? This is second reading. We will have final reading in 2 weeks after public hearing.
I'd make a motion to approve the rezoning from R2 low-density residential to RP3 planned residential district.
Second.
Second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Any other questions? Okay, Ms. Jennings.
Commissioner Calhoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler?
I'm going to vote yes to hear the public comment and the comment from the developer at the third meeting.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise?
Abstain.
And Mayor Brock?
Yes.
Your next order of business is consideration of a resolution to annex a certain portion of property along Christian Church Road known as the Profit Annexation. This is in association with ordinance number 4710-19. A resolution to annex a portion of certain property located within the 11th Civil District of Washington County, Tennessee, adjoining the present corporate boundaries of the city of Johnson City, Tennessee, and to incorporate the same within the corporate boundaries of the city of Johnson City, Tennessee, said property being known as the Profit Annexation, to zone said property B4 district as described herein, and to amend the zoning map of the city of Johnson City, Tennessee accordingly, being a part of the appendix to ordinance number 1519, is ready for your consideration on second reading. And again, third reading due to notification issues will be held at your next reading in 2 weeks.
Rachel?
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. I'll provide just a little bit of background on this. Again, Mr. Peterson has provided excellent summary. We'll start here with the area of consideration. This is a bird's eye view of the Boones Creek area. You'll see I-26 over here, exit 17 on the right-hand side. Crossing the screen is Boones Creek Road. And then you'll see right here is Christian Church Road. The site is approximately 1/2 mile. It is 1/2 mile from the intersection of Christian Church Road and Boones Creek to the next intersection with Boones Station. And the area of annexation is in this intersection right here. The property outlined in yellow is the overall current acreage. That's a 35-acre site. What they are proposing to do is annex roughly 3 acres of that 35, and that is located up here in this corner. So your request tonight on second reading, as noted, is to consider annexation of a 3-acre portion of this, adopt the plan of services, and apply the B4 zoning. Looking at the future land use map and the application of the B4 zoning, your future land use map is consistent with the request for B4. Again, you'll see here outlined in yellow is the 35-acre site. So the application of B4 on any portion of this would be consistent with your future land use map. The zoning map itself you'll see here, and so application of the B4, again, it would not be without similar company. You'll see there's B4 on both sides of Boones Creek, as well as a large swath of B4 over the Bright Ridge area and south on Christian Church Road, as well as a large swath of B4 on the other side of the interstate. This is developing as a general commercial area, and so the application of the B4 is not inconsistent with that. What you see across Christian Church Road is the RTP. That is the former Wellmont site, current Ballard property that is identified as Research and Technology Park. We know that hasn't developed in that way, probably will not, and so you could see that come forward with a rezoning for commercial. It would not be unheard of. Looking at the B4 permitted uses, this is really what I've provided here on the screen, a summary, not getting into the actual specifics, but a summary of all the heading types in the B4, everything from amusement to institutional to financial, retail and convenience, down to dining and wholesale storage. The B4 is really our most permissive zoning district. But we also need to note that there are special uses within the B4, and those special uses require extra consideration either at the administrative level or usually at some other board, that being the Board of Zoning Appeals, by way of a special exception, typically having conditions associated. And so those examples of those are light manufacturing, outdoor storage, substance abuse, and cell towers. So before I go to my last slide, I do want to point out one thing. I have fielded several phone calls and emails. I understand that there's great concern over one particular land use, and that information was provided to us in the application of the applicant. So it is public knowledge. It is well known. But I would encourage the commission to consider whether or not you believe that it's appropriate to annex this land, and then second, whether or not you believe that the B4 is the best zoning district for this area. All of the uses in the B4 need to be considered, and so that's what's before you tonight on second reading. Again, as noted with the previous, although there is not the public hearing that was originally scheduled for tonight, the public hearing is scheduled for December 5th. That would be the same as third reading. You can either act to approve this tonight, as you did on first reading, or you can act to defer this to 12-5, which would change second reading. Ultimately, that's up to the commission, but it is before you for second reading. Thank you.
Can you go back, I think it's 2 slides. Right there. So everything in yellow and red is in the city.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
This map does not distinguish city boundary because your planning jurisdiction reaches beyond the city limits. Your planning jurisdiction actually reaches out to your urban growth boundary. And so that's why over here you have low-density suburban residential and agriculture, but that's currently in the county. But you have planning jurisdiction from a policy perspective over that. So if a rezoning was to occur in the county, the Regional Planning Commission makes a recommendation on it. So you have planning jurisdiction, but the actual city the city boundary is there in green. So where you see the green color, that is within the corporate limits, and so this 3-acre piece of the 35 would be contiguous, but on the outer edge of the current limits.
So it would be the only thing on the west side of Christian Church Road that would be in the city.
Well, north of Boones Creek. You'll see that on the south side over here, the
Right.
Bright Ridge facility, and this is federal land, I believe TVA land, is within the jurisdiction of the city or in the corporate limits.
And what's the advantage for the developer for this to be in the city? I'm still wondering the request on why they want it annexed.
Well, I would ultimately need to let the developer speak to his specifics, why he wanted to annex. But the advantage to annexation is that they're, number one, they're within, this red line right here is our urban services area. And so really everything within our urban services area, your comprehensive plan recommends that you continue to invest and provide capital improvements for all types of infrastructure, both above ground and below ground within your urban services area. So properties that are within the USA or the urban services area are encouraged for annexation. That does grow the tax base, but also they are provided all of the municipal services. They're provided Class 1 fire with lower insurance rates. They are provided superior water and sewer service at lower rates, as well well as all of the other services that the city provides.
I had a question. If we do pass this B4, they have to go to another committee to do a special use. Is that correct?
For special uses, the ones that you saw listed there, for those special uses, those require special consideration by the Board of Zoning Appeals.
What kind of factors do they use? What is their criteria? I'm sure it's different for every.
It's
every
different for
thing,
each
but-
land use, right? It's different for each land use.
Questions or comments?
Right now, we're just talking about annexation, correct?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
That's the request there. You've got those three bullets. The plan of services, which was provided to you in detail at first reading by Mr. Vennard, the annexation itself, and the application of the zoning.
You have that slide that shows the cost of delivering plan of services and the return on that.
I would need to open up a different presentation. Would you like for me to do that?
Do you know off the top of your head?
It's 18 years to hit the return, assuming just the 3 acres, I think.
How far would we have to extend water and sewer from where it is currently right now?
It's already part of the way up Christian Church Road. So
Correct.
it's not a huge extension.
Okay.
And,
Correct.
You know, the other thing you got to remember, as you extend that, it's not just this parcel that's going to help you recoup the cost of the install. It's everybody that tacks onto it now or in the future. So when you start looking at a utility extension like this, it's really hard to pin it down and say this particular annexation is going to cost you X dollars, because over time, you're going to get tap fees and user fees from multiple users, not just the one that you're extending to at this particular time.
But it fits in within our cost model that
Yes.
be reasonable to.
This is
to do
something that we've done hundreds of times. This is a very short extension, I'd guess 400 or 500 feet maybe.
Commissioners, is there a motion? This is annexation of the property on second reading.
Ask a question if I could, just a point of clarification.
Sure.
Our job is to focus on annexation and zoning without questioning use at this point in time. Is that accurate?
Sort of. You can question.
For
It is,
general
it
use.
is entirely reasonable and within your purview to ask yourselves. I cannot, if I had a crystal ball in front of me and I could tell you exactly what land use was going to go there, whole different story. But it is responsible planning for you to consider those land uses and whether or not you believe that those land uses or the special land uses are consistent and appropriate in this area. Does that answer your question?
And so from the planning department, in the land use plan, that is to become commercial.
Correct. And so there you got on the map, the future land use map. And so the entire 35 acres, not just the 3 acres, the entire 35 acres would be consistent with a B4 application. Where the future land use map draws the line, literally, is at the railroad tracks. And oftentimes, railroad tracks or other major roadways, such as interstates, large arterials, things like that, those are often used as dividers or boundaries for land use classifications.
So the closest residential to that is the property, you have to go up to the T and either turn left or right and.
Correct,
There's a
as you
neighborhood
get
around
back
the
into
corner.
the Boone Station area.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
There is, correct, there is a
Corner.
residence.
Right.
But
Okay, so we don't have a request from the owner to turn that into residential or anything. It is for commercial use is what the request is.
They are requesting B4. Yes, ma'am.
Commissioners, do we have a motion for annexation?
I'll make a motion to move annexation to third reading.
Second.
Second.
Any other discussion? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes, again, to hear comments at third reading.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Mayor Brock?
Yes.
Next order of business is consideration of ordinance number 4710-19. An ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Johnson City, Tennessee, being part of the appendix to ordinance number 1519, entitled "An Ordinance to Adopt a Code of Laws and Ordinances for the City of Johnson City, Tennessee, and to repeal all laws and ordinances in conflict therewith, and amendatory thereof by assigning B4 district zoning to certain property within the 11th Civil District of Washington County, Tennessee, known as the Profit Annexation," is ready for your consideration on second reading.
So now is when we really talk about the zone on this property.
Yes, sir.
And we've kind of already sort of had that conversation. I mean, the question we're being asked is, should it be annexed? And it's within our growth boundaries, so we've said time and time again, this is an area we intend to annex. So we just did that, and now it's a matter of we got to put a zone on it. And with
Correct.
zoning, we don't get to pick specific uses. I know when we were working on Walnut Street, everybody wanted us to bring them a Trader Joe's. Well, that isn't, we can pick what would allow a Trader Joe's, but we don't get to order one up, as it were. And so in this case, it's hard to make an argument that it not be B4. Everything around it is B4 with respect to that commercial area. So I would move approval.
Motion for moving the
Zoning
zoning to
application.
B4. Is there a second?
Yeah.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Well, the only comment I would make it, I think you said it well. You can flip that, I think, also, which is the case here, in whether we really have the ability, or should we have the ability to pick things on there we don't want, in addition to what we think it should be. And that's the difficult situation that we're in. So just a comment.
Ms. Jenny?
And actually, in anticipation of public comment, it would be far more helpful to make an argument about it being an inappropriate land use or inappropriate to be within the city limits than to tell us it shouldn't be a treatment center. Because what it will be used as, it's anything on that list. And so, the question about what's allowable in B4 was dealt with when the permitted uses in B4 was established. So as you contemplate remarks for 2 weeks from now, land use and annexation are the questions we're asking. It's not about, specifically who occupies it.
What is the current zoning now? Is it agriculture?
It is
In the
under the
county.
county. Yes, ma'am.
And is there a big list of things that can go there now?
I would need to check with the county zoning.
Feedlots, there's some funny things in
trailer
A1.
park, salvage yards.
Right, there's a
Gas station.
Truck garbage, gas stations,
Yep.
yeah, there's some funny things like that.
That can retail
Yeah, Dollar Generals can
Go
go
in
in
there.
A1.
I would need to verify with
and
Ms.
medical
Charles.
and all that?
Well,
Open thing?
again, I can't speak for the county zoning,
Okay.
but I can confirm what the current zoning district is, but the details of that, I would need to let you know more later.
All right, we have a motion and a second for determining the zoning to be B4. Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise?
Yes.
And Mayor Brock?
Yes. Okay, let's return to the regular agenda now.
Consent agenda is ready for your consideration.
Where did we put the census presentation?
We actually haven't added it to your agenda now. that I
Make a motion that we add the census to our.
Yes. I see Mr. Flannery
I knew
sitting
that we
there.
wanted to get those two
Okay.
issues considered early in the meeting.
Well, we have kind of jumped around here.
If you want to do it right after the consent agenda, it'd probably be a great place.
Let's do that.
I make a motion that we add it to our agenda
All
right
right.
after the consent agenda.
So moved.
All right. Motion and a second. Ms. Jennings, we call the roll?
Commissioner Calhoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Mayor Brock?
Yes. Sorry. We'll get you in just a minute. Commissioners, anything you'd like to pull on the consent agenda?
No, ma'am.
All right. Commissioner Hunter?
Ma'am.
No? Vice Mayor?
No, ma'am. There's not that much on it.
There's not much on there at all. All right, I think we're good. Is there a motion to pass the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Mayor Brock?
Yes.
Open up that census presentation up there in the door. You got it, okay.
Mayor, excuse me, Mayor Brock, Vice Mayor Wise, Commissioners, Mr. Peterson, thank you all for having me this evening. I had a presentation that I had submitted. It's probably a 45-minute presentation. We're going to try to do that in 12 to 15 minutes based on Mayor's guidance, so we can do that. Thank you all for having me. Like I said, my name is Kevin Flannery. I'm a Partnership Specialist with the Department of Commerce and attached to the Census Bureau. A lot of people know what the census is, but they may not completely understand it and the financial impact that it has. For the last 6 months, I've been meeting with Mayor Brock, Mayor Grandy, and Mayor Vest, and they are working together. We've created a complete count committee for Washington County, and I'm responsible for a 5-county area, so this is one of my areas here. And what we do with a count committee is we put people on that committee, not we, Mayor and her designated people that are going to run it. They pick people from the community, whether it's community organizations, faith-based, education, government. And it's people who, it's not just name recognition, it's people who are trusted or influential within their areas, basically to increase participation in the census. The census is coming up. April 1st, 2020 is the official date. I'll do a brief education for everybody on this, that you'll start receiving things in the mail around March 12th. The first postcards will go out. This year is going to be 3 different ways that you can participate. For the first time ever, you will be able to complete the survey online. It takes about 10, 12 minutes to complete. You can also call in or you can mail it in. So we really think as technology moves forward, we have to move with it. You can't be left behind. And we've really increased our support for this as well, as far as how many people they've hired and partnership specialists. I think we have 25 to 30 in the state of Tennessee. Most of us have multiple counties. Now, of course, Shelby County, Chattanooga, and Nashville, so places like that, they're a little more condensed in certain areas, but up here, we can handle 5 counties ourselves. So the counties I have are Sullivan, Washington, Carter, Johnson, and Unicoi County. So our goal is to count everyone once, only once, and in the right place. It sounds simple enough, but it's really not. It's a huge project. We started over a year ago, started putting people in positions to make sure that this is done correctly, and in the right place is a big part of that as well. At the end, conducted a 2020 census in the same high quality as a 2010 design. I'm not going to read all these PowerPoints to you. I'm going to go through them. You all have a copy of it as well, so to expedite time, I won't go through all of them. I will tell you this, if you look at some of the differences between 2010 and now, just some changes that have happened. If you look at 2010, most people went to rent their movies at Blockbuster. Well, that seems a lot longer than that. That seems like 30 years ago now to a lot of us. And so things have definitely moved forward, and they're moving forward this as well. couple things I do need to read. Constitutional mandate, Article 1, Section 2, apportionment and redistricting. It provides accurate and complete representation at local, state, and federal level, allows for correct redistricting of voting precincts and district. So on the 2010, just a little FYI on this, in 2010, there were several states who lost seats as far as House of Representatives. Some states gained. Texas gained, North Carolina gained, Ohio lost. And when I say that, it may have just been one seat, but that's huge. I mean, imagine if that were to happen in Tennessee, that's huge. Right now, based on that redistricting, we don't know what will happen. That'll happen in spring of 2021 is when reapportionment happens. We do know that heavy population increase is happening in Middle Tennessee, around Murfreesboro, Nashville, that entire area, and it could have some effect. So that's just something important to point out. Financial impact, this is one of the biggest things. $675 billion is dispersed annually based on the results of the census. And let me cite this for you. The $1,091 per person in the state of Tennessee, that is based on a George Washington University survey that was conducted. And that is the mean actually for the United States. For what that means is, to break it down simple for you, for every one person who is undercounted here in Washington County, or Johnson City, that potentially costs you $1,091 in federal funding. Annually.
Times 10.
Yes.
Because we're getting ready to do this
Exactly.
for a decade.
Yes, so it's even higher, but if you just look at that 1 year, it's huge. Now, and I'll tell you in comparison, we are the median. Tennessee is actually the median for the country for the amount that would cost. I don't know if that's good or bad. It's just a fact I thought I'd throw out there. Utah, it's around $530 for one person, for one undercount. And it can vary as much up to Vermont as about $2,300. So that shows you the impact this has.
We ran some numbers when we were going through this with Kevin earlier, and when you put the times 10 on it, it's a big number if we're undercounted by $1,000.
$11,000 per person per decade. If you miss 100 people, I mean, that's pretty simple math. Then, God forbid you miss 1,000 people. I mean, it's excruciatingly important that everybody gets counted. It is a miscount of, let's say, 1,000 people probably results in forcing you all to have to do a property tax increase to make up for that loss in state and federal funding that you realize just as a result of a good census count. So it's everybody that lives in Johnson City and Washington County has a stake in the game. If you don't get counted, you're costing your local government at the county level $1,100. At the city level, when you compound the city and the county dollars together, it could be upwards of $2,200 per person. So I don't know what better compelling reason I can give you other than if you don't get counted, you're taking money out of your own pocket.
And it's
huge.
Schools.
It's schools,
transit.
it's roads, it's police, it's fire, it's everything we do is driven a lot by this state shared funding. This is really big.
Now, that funding that I talk about, that is only from the top 55 federal programs that provide funding to the states. So that's not even all of it. That's just from the top 55. I will say this, if you remember from our meeting a month or so ago when we talked about it, I can tell you what your percentage was in Washington County was around 82% participation in 2010. Now, that was only mail-in only. There wasn't an online option. There wasn't a phone-in option. It was just mail-in only, and that did not include any follow-up enumeration that was done where a census personnel would come to your house and try to conduct a survey with you for follow-up. So 82%, a lot of people think, and we discussed this, well, that's pretty good when you look at maybe a presidential election or something. That would be a huge turnout. first of all, this is the law. It is the law to do this, so you should have a higher participation rate with it. But at 82%, and that means 18% of the people weren't counted in Washington County. 18% of 130-some thousand, whatever we went through, was around $23,000, $24,000. And I think Manager Peterson came up with, it's costing us, the county, over $20 million. And I know when we look at things like that, you know, I had a meeting with Dr. Flannery with the Washington County School Board, and I walked in, and that was right when they're talking about, you know, the $30 million that they need for the school, which is a need. It's not a want, it's a need. And I walked in, and I said, I know where you can get about $20 million. And he just started laughing. He knew what I was talking about. It would be a complete
18% of 125,000 people, times $1,100 a head, cost us $24,750,000 a year.
Times 10.
Times 10.
$240 million.
$240 million
A quarter of $1 billion.
is what we left on the table by 18% not getting
Well,
counted last time.
It's we're sending those taxes to Washington.
Somebody else
We're
is
not
enjoying
getting it.
our money.
Somebody else is getting it.
Because they're not just not distributing that money. Some other states getting our money. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah, and it's true. It will be distributed to other states. That money is going somewhere. So we want the highest count we can possibly get here. Now, people are doing exactly what I do across the country in their areas and stuff.
We just hope you're better at it than that.
I do too. And because my business cards, I've included in there, don't be confused that it says Philadelphia or Washington, D.C., and my phone number is a Washington, D.C. phone number. I am from Gray, Tennessee. So I want our money back here. And, you know, when we talk about the federal government is going to give this much money, they are not giving anything. They don't have it to give. That came from American taxpayers. So I try to explain that to people. This is getting our own money back. It's simple. It's a 10-minute survey. What are the issues we have with that? Some people don't trust the government. There's one thing. Some people aren't educated to understand this financial impact, let alone the civic duty and the history of it, that we've done it since 1790. Every 10 years, it's mandated by the Constitution. We are not loyal to either or any political party. We are loyal to the Constitution. I'll go through this kind of quick. I know that there's a lot of information on it. So here are some of the states I told you gained or lost seats because of the 2010 apportionment.
The blue gained, yeah.
Yes. Tennessee stayed the same. All right, so the decennial census is what I'm talking about. That's the one people are familiar with, that it comes around every 10 years. Now, if you've done any type of research before, grant funding or anything, you know how much money is out there through census.gov or through census statistics. We are the single highest provider of statistics in the federal government. A 10-minute survey doesn't give you all that information that you can find through the Census Department. Reason being, we have an American Community Survey that goes out once a year. So some people in here, or you all may have already said, oh, I've done the census already. No, well, you have, but you haven't. You haven't done the decennial census, and that's the one I work with the most. The American Community Survey, that only does 1% to 3% of the population. It's good for getting that information throughout the decade, where we don't just have to rely on every 10 years information, but that's the difference in it. So if you've got something this year, that's not the census I'm talking about. Just as important, though. And that one is more of a long form. It asks more detailed questions. They get a lot more information out of that. If you all want, we're very transparent about things. If you want to know the questions that are going to be on the upcoming census, you can go to census.gov. It is on there. You can find the questions on there. Very simple and basic. I'll skip through a few of these for you. Okay, so confidentiality is a big thing, and I know you all understand as far as hacking and stuff. City of Johnson City understands certain companies and business. It happens. It happens in this world. We've got top-notch people on that who work in our IT departments. Every time we log in, we have to do it through a VPN server. It's very hard for us to get in and check our email sometimes, believe it or not. I will tell you how serious we take privacy. We do our training up, our regional headquarters is in Philadelphia, and it's on the 11th and 12th floor of a building. Well, we get group emails go out, and they may not affect us. Like if somebody's having donuts in the break room in Philadelphia, we're like, delete. You know, I mean, it just doesn't need to go to some of us. But they try to keep everybody in the loop of what's going on. And I saw one go out one day, and this is what really showed me how serious we are about it. They were talking about some window cleaning was going to be going on that day, and they ordered everybody to close their blinds. And I was like, okay, it's just something you don't think about, but they do take it very serious. So we'll never share a respondent's personal information. Results of census are reported in statistical format only, and I'll explain that the records are confidential for 72 years by law. What that means is your name, any information like that would not be released for 72 years. Reason being, that was anticipated lifespan. The last time they had changed this with the census or updated it, it may go up to 74, to 76, to 80, who knows, in the next few censuses. But with that said, that means if you do anything on Ancestry.com or you're ever looking at genealogy, the last census that was released, any personal data, was in 2012. That was for the 1940 census. And I'm not really that big into genealogy, but I can tell you what I think would be interesting. The next one's going to be released in 2022. That's the 1950 census. And I think it would be amazing to look at the comparisons between 1940 and 1950, simply because of World War II. That would probably be one of the most dynamic ones to look at in American history, really, those 10 years. Penalty for wrongful disclosure is up to 5 years in prison and or fine of $250,000. And I will tell you all, I am a former correctional officer. I do not have a need to go to prison. That would be the last place I need to be. And there's nothing. I've made a joke about this a few times. I think I did. I was presenting somewhere yesterday, and I said, you know, I don't want to go to prison and somebody be in there with me and, you know, they be in for a couple murders or whatever, and that's what I'm in for. I'll be like, I shared somebody's middle name, you know. No. I'm not getting my street cred like that. So
I'm not sure that constitutes street cred.
I know, I was being sarcastic. But, yeah, we take that very serious, that oath. And a lot of people, they do worry about that, the confidentiality part of it. We cannot share that with any state, local, or federal law enforcement agencies, and that includes ICE, that includes Customs, that includes FBI, anybody. We cannot share that information. That's constitutionally mandated. Okay, so this is kind of a timeline of where we're at. Establish where to count. That's been going on this past year. A lot of us, we're still currently doing that. Motivate people to respond. That's going on now. You're going to see a huge media canvas of this starting in February. They have all the contacts for local media here and who to contact. I've already submitted that to them. You've probably seen some articles. We were on the front page, John City Press this week or last week. Some information out there. But you will see a national push for this on social media, commercials, NCAA March Madness. A lot of the coaches are doing PSAs. We've got some country stars and some Tennessee Titans here in Tennessee, and Predators are actually doing PSAs to support this as well. So we'll do self-response. We'll start in March. It's going to go through probably the end of April. We don't like to tell people that. I'd like to get everybody to go ahead and do it when you get it. You don't have to wait till April 1st. Sooner the better. They'll do non-response follow-up. If you don't want a census person to come to your house, then just do it when you get it, and nobody will ever show up. That's probably the best way to avoid that. But we will have a huge amount of people that will be out doing that just to follow up with people. We have to have this to the president by December 31st, 2020. And then whenever Congress goes back into session in 2021, that's when reapportionment will happen. So a little bit about our operations within the state. We've got several area census offices. We just opened one in Knoxville this month, and our other one is in Shelbyville is what our lane is called. We have one in Franklin, Tennessee, just below Nashville, and that's usually where we go for our training and stuff within the state. So we have, and this is not just for us, we have the apps on our phone, but you all can go to census.gov. and Mayor, you've already, I've shown you all some of this. We have an app called Remote, it's Rome, Remote, some area mapper. I always forget the O. But you can go on there and you can pull up a state, and like Tennessee, if it's dark blue, that's where we're looking at hard to count areas, that the predicted area is going to be hard to count. So you'll notice there's a lot in Shelby County. You'll see some down Davidson County, I guess Hamilton. I don't think that we're great up here. We do look good on this map, but we can zoom in on that app and you can see specific areas and pockets within each county that are hard to count. That helps us with the committees as we focus on where to distribute materials and to meet with people. But yeah, if you all ever want to check it out, it's very, very interesting. So this is just an example of a complete count. Now this is a complete count commission. These are usually municipal or the state ones. We have one for the state of Tennessee. Governor Lee is heading up. The one we have here, it's joint between Washington County, Johnson City, and Jonesboro. It's pretty similar to this. That's just an example. We've got ETSUs represented. I know I want to draw like ballot health.
School boards,
School boards.
both school board superintendents are on it. Public library.
Faith-based. We've got several community organizations. So we've got a good variety of people. So I've already went through the phases kind of. So we just finished in-field address canvassing. So those people are out, they just finished a few weeks ago. They were actually making sure that the addresses are correct based on the records we have from 2010. They usually didn't have to go like door to door with that. A few of them they had to, I know, in certain places because some people told me that they came up and verified addresses with them. I will touch on group quarters for a minute. That's going to start in February. So you may or may not have thought to yourself, and Dr. Calhoun, you may have thought of this because of ETSU especially, how are we going to count all these students in the dorms? Well, we have people designated to do that through our group quarters enumeration. And I will tell you, ETSU has been wonderful to work with. They have their own complete count committee on campus, and they are working to get the word out to the students to participate. All right, classes will be in session on April 1st. The semester won't be out yet. Those students are to be counted here in Johnson City or Washington County if they live in the dorms or surrounding area. Now, that's part of a huge education push that we're putting out to let them know and to let parents know, and our group quarters folks will handle that. So it means anybody you have incarcerated in jails or on Census Day, they will be counted here as well. Which really helps. If you look at Johnson County, they have a low population. That really helps them by having a prison up there as far as numbers on their county. It can help a lot with funding. The group quarters, they also deal with homelessness. They do with assisted living. Some of the places, some of the senior homes, and it's usually where people live under the same roof, but they're not necessarily related. That's usually what we consider group quarters. Census Day, internet self-response, update leave, non-response, follow-up. It'll be in summer. We'll wrap that up. So I can give this to you. It's public record. You can look. What I did was each county has a tract, and I know we discussed this in our meeting there a month or so ago. Washington County's probably got it's 3,000 to 5,000 people per tract, and we were trying to guess you all probably had 25 tracts, maybe something like that, roughly. So what I did was, to save you all some math, I went through and took each one of the counties. I combined all their tracts, what their percentage was of participation, and got the average from it. And so this Washington County is 83.1 is the actual number. Now that's just mail-in only. So that tells you right there, it looks good, but we've still got some work to do. So I'll finish up with recruiting is huge right now. We are hiring 500,000 people. Yeah, I said that correctly. That's a lot of people to hire. There'll be a lot of part-time positions. It's great for people who are looking for a second job, if they're seniors, or retired people, seniors, also college students. The pay rate here, I can tell you as of right now, is $13.50 an hour, and they get 58 cents a mile fuel reimbursement. I did find out today that number is going up drastically. I'm like I can't quote it yet because I don't have the number for sure. It's going up a lot higher than $13.50 an hour. So
We check with the commission, see if they have any questions. What's the biggest risk we're
I thought you were
facing?
going to ask
for-
if we wanted to work for the census.
Yeah, well,
I was like, oh, yeah, maybe.
When we make on the commission, right? Kevin, what is the biggest risk we face to try to get our percentage up or
don't
the
see
rest
any.
to go down?
I don't see any, I mean, for me, this is like the easiest, quote, sales job a person could ever have because you don't have to buy anything. You can only make money. It sounds like a weird Ponzi scheme or something, but it's not. It's really, really vital that we get that money back here. Now, I will mention that our lowest counted population are children 0 to 5 years old. And that's a little bit surprising because a lot of times you would think it might be seniors who don't have a strong support or family structure and stuff to help, but 0 to 5 years, some of the reasons for that, sometimes a grandparent may be raising the child and they think, well, it's not my child, I don't claim them on taxes, this or that. It may happen where parents are divorced and it just gets caught up one thing to the other did it. That's something we are working with all the school systems. We are working with preschools, daycares. We're really reaching out to a lot of minority communities because that's our hard-to-count areas a lot of times, both rural and inner city. Those are both tough-to-count areas. So we're working very hard on that.
Well, I know from having spent a lot of time with you, y'all got your act together, your game plan together, and we'll be, after the first of the year, be kicking off here with, our own encouragement. There's probably might get this commission to make a PSA or
Yeah.
something like that we could
Pardon
do
the
to-
turkey again.
We could pardon the turkey again, that's right. So, anybody have any?
Was interested in working for you, how do they get in touch or how do they do that?
The best thing to do is go to census.gov. That on the main page, I think it's got an option for positions. Now, they have to be 18 years old. You have to be a U.S. citizen, have a clean record. They will do a background check even for the part-time positions. It does take probably 4 to 6 weeks usually to go through the hiring process once you're selected. So the sooner you apply, the better, because they'll be doing a lot of this hiring probably early January, mid-January. But if you...
I'm hoping we might get a PSA for you today from our people at the press back
There
there.
you go.
Okay.
Good job, Dave.
Thank you.
Kevin, thanks so much for coming. We appreciate you, and we will do all we can to support it. We
Thank you all for
definitely see the
having me.
need.
Thank you.
Now, we have so altered our agenda.
I know it.
Hey, I know exactly
See if
where
we
we
get
are.
back
We're
on
going to
track
slide
here.
right into ordinance number
D.
4713-19.
19, okay.
Or D.
An ordinance to abandon an alley extending northeast from the 200 block of North Broadway Street upon the terms and conditions contained herein and repealing all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith is ready for your consideration on second reading. And this is the alley that's in conjunction with the rezoning that's going to follow.
Haven of Mercy.
Haven of Mercy, yes.
We heard about this at the last meeting.
Yes,
but
sir.
I don't want to deprive you of an opportunity to tell us about it.
Nothing has changed, Vice Mayor. Everything is the same.
Move approval.
There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun.
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler.
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise.
Yes.
Mayor Brock.
Yes.
Great job, son.
The next order of business is ordinance number 4712-19. An ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Johnson City, Tennessee, being part of the appendix to ordinance, being part of the appendix to ordinance number 1519, entitled An Ordinance to Adopt a Code of Laws and Ordinances for the City of Johnson City, Tennessee, and to repeal all laws and ordinances in conflict therewith, and amendatory thereof by changing from I-2 Heavy Industrial District and R-5 High Density Residential District to B4 Planned Arterial Business District, certain properties located at 218 and 222 North Broadway Street, ready for your consideration on second reading.
Any change in 2 weeks?
Absolutely none.
Move approval.
Second.
This is a companion to
The earlier.
the abandon of the right-of-way. Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun.
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler.
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise.
Yes.
Mayor Brock.
Yes.
Next order of business is consideration of ordinance number 4715-19. An ordinance to amend Title V, the Municipal Finance and Taxation, Chapter 3, Hotel, Motel, Transient Occupancy Privilege Tax of the Municipal Code of the City of Johnson City. Ready for your consideration on second reading. This ordinance will apply the hotel motel tax to the short-term rentals.
Mitchell?
I have nothing to add other than just that. This is the taxation piece only with the short-term rentals. This would allow Ms. Jennings and the Finance Department to levy the occupancy tax on short-term rentals.
It would treat them the same as every other hotel in town.
Correct.
Move for approval.
Second.
Any other comments, questions? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Mayor Brock?
Yes.
Next ordinance is 4686-19. An ordinance to amend the municipal code of the City of Johnson City, Tennessee, specifically Title 15, Motor Vehicles, Traffic and Parking related to shared mobility. Ready for your consideration on third and final reading.
Mitchell?
Thank you, Mayor, Commission. This is third reading of the bicycle sharing and scooter ordinance. Again, at this time, the recommendation and ultimately through your last reading is to not permit the scooter sharing at this time, but to move forward with bike sharing, recognizing the importance of bicycles and the growth of the shared mobility movement. And so that's the recommendation. We support this ordinance and recommend your approval on third reading.
Commissioner?
Motion for approval.
Second.
Motion and second. Any other comments?
Any comments from the public or any feedback since the last meeting?
None whatsoever. Again, ETSU, we reached out and spoke to ETSU, and they, at this time, have decided to stay with us, and they will apply the same policy on campus.
Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Mayor Brock?
Yes.
Next ordinance is 4707-19. An ordinance to prescribe the maximum expenditure which the city manager may make without specific authorization of the Board of Commissioners in accordance with Section 45.8 of the Charter of the City of Johnson City, and to repeal all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith. Ready for your consideration on third and final reading.
This is the one we're calling the Fix the Truck Now, Not in 3 Weeks resolution.
Yes, sir.
Okay, move approval. Second.
All right, motion and second. Any other comments? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Calhoun?
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Mayor Brock?
Yes.
The next ordinance is
4708-19.
an ordinance to revise, update, and add new sections to the code of the City of Johnson City regarding animal control by amending Title 10 of the code of the City of Johnson City, Tennessee, and repealing all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith. Ready for your consideration on third and final reading.
Mr. Wilson?
What I wanted to do was walk through some changes that have occurred since second reading. This was sent out to you today, but just so everyone's on the same page. Under definitions, we added a definition for business day, which is any day the shelter is open for intake and adoptions. And I'm just going to run through these. If you have any questions, please feel free to stop me. Fees and fines, I want to clarify, there's in the back of the ordinance, there's a section that said is set by the board. Previously, we had it set by the animal control staff, and this just clarifies that all fines and fees are set by the board. This is just a simple clarification. The jurisdiction for the ordinance is just within the City of Johnson City, not Washington County. So this just clarifies that that's the City of Johnson City. We also added a section that adds that if you get a new dog, you have 10 days to register the dog. Sorry, I thought this would stand out a little bit better than this. I think you have copies at your desk. A license is required for all facilities and for any facility or person who keeps more than 2 dogs or cats. What we've added, that was in there. What we've added is license, and this is really clarification from the back of the ordinance to make sure everyone has this. A license will be required for any person who, for compensation, profit, buys, sells, transports, except as common carrier, delivers for transportation, or boards dogs or cats for research purposes, or any other person who buys or sells 25 or more dogs or cats in 1 calendar year for resale within the state or for transportation out of the state. Just clarification that they have to have a license for that.
What page
And
is
that's
that?
in the back also. On number 13,
10-4. 10-4 is the time.
previously, and this was just an oversight, if there was an appeal, it went to the animal shelter staff, which is doing the enforcement. That previously in the in the original ordinance, that had been the city manager. The intent there was not to give it staff to police themselves, but so that's been changed to the Animal Control Board. In section 4, the bottom, that had previously been a 10 by 10 pen or enclosure. We just changed that to make it 100 square feet minimum. You can make it whatever, if you want to make it a smaller dimension or make it longer, you obviously can make it bigger, but instead of trying to tell people exactly what it does. And I'll have to say, full disclosure, we had some input from the American Kennel folks, and a lot of these suggestions are suggestions that they made. Staff went through the suggestions, and a number of them were incorporated into this, and certainly appreciate their input into this. I think it made it a better ordinance. Under 104, impoundment, number 3, upon intake to the shelter, all dogs and cats shall be vaccinated. The rabies vaccine shall not be given to an animal less than 3 months of age or to any animal that is surrendered and the history can be traced will only be given a vaccine as necessary. So if we know they've already been vaccinated, there's no reason to vaccinate.
Bob, you skipped an important part.
Thank you.
The 3 business days, you changed it from 72 hours to 3
Yes.
business days, which is
I'm sorry.
considerably different.
Thank you, Pete. Another suggestion was to go to 3 business days. There were 3 spots in the ordinance where that was spelled out that way. This is one of those where that's been changed.
There you go.
That's it.
10-117, right of entry, just a little more clarification, it's director. It said animal shelter, we just added the director to that, or designee. Under enforcement, we felt we needed to beef up and clarify what the duties of the animal control officers were, so we added director to the enforcement. We also added, shall be the duty of anyone having the authority of an animal control officer, humane officer, or City of Johnson City police officer to enforce all terms and provisions of this chapter. Said officer shall be empowered to issue a citation and summons to municipal court for violations thereof. This last sentence was already there. We just added further to make that read a little bit better. And there was an oversight back under definitions. we also, under animal control officer, we expanded the definition of animal control officer to read any person employed and designated by the Washington County Johnson City Animal Shelter as the enforcement officer with primary responsibilities in the area of animal control. The definition was in there. We just expanded a little bit to clarify that that's what their job is and their responsibilities are. Under penalties, this goes back to the 3 days. 72 hours, we changed that to 3 days. We also, if an animal has an unaltered registration certificate, we added an additional 3 days to that, just to try to err on the side of caution. The last thing anybody wants to do is, if it's an oversight and you can't get in touch with the owner, especially for an unaltered animal. So we added a little bit more time to that to try to give additional time. And I believe that was the last change. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to expound on those.
Any
Anyway,
questions?
those were,
Commissioners?
I will add that Linda
Shelter
Bear.
director get a badge? I mean,
The animal control officer.
The animal control officer has a
Yeah.
badge.
They do.
Staff has looked at this. Legal is very involved in this from all aspects, especially the last changes that we made. Tammy Davis, the director, has reviewed the changes and actually added some other changes in concurrence. And then Linda Bearfield, who was one of the primary authors of the initial, along with several others, has also reviewed this. So it was also sent out to the board a little bit. They probably haven't had a chance to look at it, but I think the changes that have been proposed on third reading are I think it really brings clarification, and there's no major change in the intent of the ordinance.
We've been getting calls and requests from other communities to review our ordinance to see if they can move in this direction as well. So, Commissioners, is there a motion on third reading?
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other comment?
Wasn't there a puppy in attendance earlier tonight?
There was a puppy here. You may have to go for a
Went to
walk.
bed.
We need to hear from, no? He's gone?
So Vice Mayor, our director, doesn't get a badge, but she gets a crown for what she does at the shelter and what they do out there. So, all right, we have a motion and a second. Any further?
Just as a point of clarification, could you make those motions to read that you're approving the ordinance as written and amended since second reading, so we can make sure without question you're amending what you looked at, or you're approving what you looked at tonight, not what was in there on first and second reading, please?
That is my motion.
You have to withdraw your first
I
motion,
withdraw my first, and that is my motion.
and you have to withdraw your second.
That was me.
Larry.
I withdraw my second,
And
and that's
second.
now my second.
So we have a motion and a second.
Thank you.
And I still think Tammy needs a badge.
We may get her one. Ms. Jennings, call the roll.
Calhoun.
Yes.
Commissioner Fowler.
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wise.
Yes.
Mayor Brock.
Yes. Thank you very much. Mr. Peterson.
Yes, ma'am. Takes us down to the manager's report. Running through a list of a couple of things. Speaking of animals, animal shelter, we recently had a discussion out at the shelter about looking into developing a spay and neuter clinic. So not only are we looking at an ordinance change, but we're also looking at the potential of developing a clinic which would make it more readily accessible and would help everybody, especially the shelter, control animal population by having a clinic somewhere close by. So those was a very productive meeting, and I can tell with the vigor of Mr. Warren's head shaking back there, that dialogue and effort is ongoing at full speed. So thank you, Fred. Budget staff and Charlie and Bob and I have been working on the CIP. We've got it pretty close to being ready to come to you all. And I think Laura and Beth have sent out a date.
We have.
You all
We're
set a date
scheduled
for the
already.
CIP discussion. So as weird as this will sound, we are beginning the process of working on the fiscal year 2021 budget. So time rolls on. The Science Hill High School and the school system had a really productive and thought-provoking gathering over at the Millennium Center last week, dealing with chronic absenteeism and the impact on student success, ACT scores, and we had the opportunity to hear firsthand from some of the educators and administrators the cause of some of this absenteeism, and it was far-reaching. It's not just students who choose to be delinquent and not go to school. There are a variety of factors involved. They were going to take all the information that they got and kind of summarize that and continue to get that group together and develop some next steps and hopefully some action plans to help the community get involved and try to reduce the chronic absenteeism and improve students' chances for a successful career once they get out of school. So that was really good. James Ellis and Brenda Whitson attended a recent ASA conference where they were successful in landing a 14 and under girls national tournament to be held in the summer of 2021. I'm told that could bring somewhere in the neighborhood of 140 plus softball teams to town in the summer of 2021. That will be a very significant impact in our local economy and an opportunity for us to showcase all of our recreation facilities as well as our natural outdoor tourism facilities. So we will definitely be working in concert with CVB and other agencies to make sure we got a complete package to welcome those folks to town in the summer of '21. All of you were at the grand opening of the Langston facility this past Sunday. I think I can speak for all of us that we were extremely pleased and somewhat amazed at the size of the crowd that was there that Sunday. Of all the openings I've been to in almost 30 years here, that might have been the biggest crowd I've ever seen at a grand opening, and that includes grade schools, remodels of Science Hill, parks, ball fields, police stations, fire stations. That was a huge turnout. It was awesome to see the history and the community come together and recollect lots of good memories and make a bold statement about how we're going to proceed into the future, helping young people move on with their life. Parks and Rec's been busy with a couple of things. We talked about the turkey trot earlier this evening. That comes up Thursday, and I won't steal the mayor's thunder on times and all that for a little later. But we've also been working in preparation of the Christmas parade and the city's float in the Christmas parade, not to mention the restoration of the Seagrave fire truck that will be in the Christmas parade. So Motor Transport and Parks and Rec have been pretty busy getting ready for festivities and celebrations. We've got the Sesquicentennial official celebration day, December the 1st, the Christmas tree lighting, the Christmas parade, and of course the turkey trot next Thursday night, or next Thursday day.
Morning.
Yeah, morning, not night.
Don't show up at night.
All in the next 15 days.
All in the next 15
Busy,
days,
busy,
not to
busy.
mention all the other day-to-day stuff. We will pick up your trash every day except Thanksgiving Day, and along with leaves and brush and everything else.
You know, Pete, they've done an amazing job this year on picking up leaves.
Unbelievable.
So please,
Absolutely.
please give big kudos. I'm so pleased that
Thank you.
they've just been there. They've hardly stayed on the street long at all. So, great.
Thank you very much. I will certainly pass that along. In your budget approval this year was the replacement of public safety radios. The communications shop has gotten the RFP together, and that's over to purchasing for final review. So we'll be going out for solicitation for bids on public safety radios sometime in the next 30, 40 days. Motor Transport's also been very busy winterizing vehicles, checking antifreeze and batteries and all those types of things with winter weather coming up. We had a meeting with Boyd Sports Monday, talking about the future of minor league baseball. Of course, Boyd Sports has Johnson City, Greenville, and Elizabethton teams in the Appalachian League. It was very productive. This is an initiative by Major League Baseball to look at reconfiguring and reducing the size of minor league baseball. Our discussions at this point were the winter meetings start within the next 2 or 3 weeks, and let's see what comes out of the winter meetings. There may be some modification and change of direction. There may not. And at that point in time, we're going to get together with Boyd Sports, and I've also had conversations with Kingsport and Bristol about what their thinking is. And we're thinking, let's see what comes out of the winter meetings, and then we will collectively send a statement to the appropriate parties about our desire and need to keep minor league baseball in the Tri-Cities and the Appalachian League going. There was also some discussion about the potential to get Congress involved in this, as this really goes back to labor relations.
They did. They issued a resolution.
103 of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so they said that was moving. I've been out of touch with the news here for a
We
day
can
or two.
move on other stuff as fast as that.
The other thing they did today, the House did it a couple of days ago. The Senate passed a continuing resolution, which also contained language that did away with a rescission of transportation dollars that had been previously approved. In plain English, there are transportation infrastructure dollars that are allocated annually to the states from the federal government. A previous action of Congress had rescinded that distribution, and any unobligated monies as of a certain date would be recaptured by the federal government for their use. And this CR that the Senate and the House have passed overruled that previous rescission. So transportation dollars, we were very fearful that we were getting ready to lose. We will not lose. Contingent, of course, on the president signing the continuing resolution that was passed. So that's really big and great news for transportation all across the state. I participated in a phone call late last week with a number of managers that all run cities that have city school systems. The conversation obviously being the future of education in the state of Tennessee. We talked about vouchers and charter schools, but predominantly we talked a lot about public education funding and what the future of funding was, and the need to get clarification through the legislature that all school capital dollars should be shared proportionately based on the number of students that each system educates. So that conversation continues to be ongoing and very lively, I might add. Preston and I have had a series of meetings over the last couple of weeks. I think we've met with probably 15 or 18 different customers of ours that we interact with through the development process, owners, architects, engineers, plumbers, electricians, developers. We're trying to get around and talk to all different aspects of people that are involved in that development process. And from that, we're learning where our strengths and weaknesses are and some places where we need to make some modifications. And Preston's doing a good job of trying to put together what I'm going to call a modification plan. So we hope to get that wrapped up here in the next couple of weeks and hopefully address the majority of what we're hearing. I have continued to talk to Mayor Grandy about the proposed interlocal agreement that will address the funding that we will get for school construction as a result of their interlocal agreement with Jonesboro. I'm waiting on a response from Mayor Grandy as to the draft that we have sent him. And as you all know, I've been out of town for a couple of days, so I plan on touching base with Mayor Grandy tomorrow. And
benefit of those hearing that, that's in response to the unanimous vote of the county commission authorizing the county mayor to engage in those
that is correct.
Discussions.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We continue to be in discussions with the Boones Creek Historic Trust. We have sent them a draft of a proposed lease for property out in Boones Creek, and we're waiting on their comments back, and we should have a proposed lease agreement in front of you in 2 weeks for consideration to help them find a permanent home. And I guess the other thing I would report is we continue to work analyzing the Upper Reedy Creek sewer line extension. We've identified a couple of alternative routes to the original one proposed, and the engineers are looking at the different alternates and the impact on getting service delivery to everybody in that area. We've also had conversations with 2 of the property owners that would be impacted with one of the alternate routes were selected. Tom and I are meeting tomorrow. Hopefully I can get some further information about that, but it looks as though we have some willing and enthusiastic property owners that are willing to work with us to see if we can find alternative routes, and hopefully we can get that to a conclusion here no later than the end of the year. There's a multitude of the day-to-day things going on, and hopefully everybody's water's on, the toilet's flushed, the leaves disappear, the children magically get to school and back every day, and garbage gets collected, and nobody's hitting a lot of potholes on the way to work.
Getting kids to school never seems magical at our house.
Any questions for city manager?
That's the thing I worry the most about every day. Everybody get to school and back safe. That's important.
Pete, I know city staff are just working like crazy right now. We have so many projects kind of coming to a close and some ramping up all at the
Get
same
stuff
time.
though.
So it is.
We're moving and
shows.
getting a lot of stuff done, and
Thanks a lot here at the end of the year, and
we'll certainly pass that along. We're blessed with a very good staff that works very hard, and they feel a lot of ownership in what they do.
okay. Commissioner Calhoun, any report outs of your?
Well, the sesquicentennial Black Tie Gala is sold out. So,
I have tickets
Waiting
if
list?
you want to buy them, but they're for more.
He's going to be scalping them out on Rome Street.
That's right.
isn't there a law about that?
Yeah, there'll be a third party.
There'll be a third party.
Buying
Well,
or selling.
And I've been instructed very clearly by the co-chairs to thank Mr. Stahl for all his assistance in moving things along and helping get that project where it is today. So it's going to be a great weekend in addition to the December the 1st event. So get ready for a fun weekend that starts off with the turkey trot. Planning Commission had a very long agenda in November, which means we'll have a long agenda coming to us in the next month or so. And the staff did a good job of developing some zoning issues, sort of cleaning up some zoning over the years. So there's going to be a lot that comes to us. That the committee has subcommittees working and a lot of activity. I was looking for somebody there. There's Ason. a lot of activity from the subcommittees. I think there was meetings that scheduled there to try to go and develop some of the things we got on a checklist that should have been taken care of a long time ago. So we're now trying to get those things done. So real busy.
Hunter,
No committee meetings for me, but this morning, some of us did attend a tour of the Ash Street Courthouse, which was...
cold?
It actually was not as bad as you would think, and the basement was actually the warmest.
Oh, really? Wow.
But,
Geothermal.
right? But, you know, it is in some disrepair, and it was great to have the opportunity to take a look at it.
Tyler?
Our city manager stole some of my thunder from
Yeah, from
CBB about the
CBB, yeah.
2021 under 14 girls. But there'll be 50 to 150 teams, and they travel with a lot of people. So that's going to be a lot of people in Johnson City in 2021, which is great. The video was very well accepted. They showed it again at the CBB meeting, and everybody liked it. And they said the moonshine might have helped a little bit too that they took. So, and that the hotel occupancy for October was up 6.7%, which is partially due to the Bands of America coming back. But they're having another meeting with Bands of America about doing a yearly thing here because they liked it so much. So, just
Did they
have to-
report on the year over year? Because I thought I'd heard something that said not just the October was good, but that
Year
our
over year, it's up.
Year to date,
19
it's
did.
been very good, so we're definitely up. So travel has been great coming to the Tri-Cities. We've got lots of activities coming. We've got cross-country bicycle things that may be coming to the old Buffalo Valley Golf Course to go riding there that they're talking to some people about. The cross-country meet went great out at our golf course here in town, and there's nothing but rave reviews about it. So they're hoping they can get some more activities like that here. So the CVB has been very busy, and they are attracting lots of things to our city and lots of great videos and things that they've been doing. So we should compliment them on their job.
I will have to tell you a real quick story. I went to the cross-country, and, you know, all the universities in the SoCon, which would be Furman, what are their colors? Purple. I wore my purple jacket. It was really cold. And I saw parents looking at me like, who is she? We've never seen her travel with us. So I needed my blue and gold.
Yeah, next time you'll
Made
know.
a big
That's right.
mistake, yeah. All right, Vice Mayor?
Nothing to report. We've had some meetings, but people have already spoken
Okay.
about a few of them.
And I will tell you about a new program that Bright Ridge is going to be rolling out, partnership with TVA, and it's just, I'm so excited about this. We've talked about this, Pete, for a long time, but TVA and Bright Ridge will both be putting close to $200,000 each into a program to help people with homes that need to be weatherized and to be fixed up. And so we have a program that we help people pay their power bill, but when you're in 900 square feet and your power bill's $300 and $400, all you're doing is heating freezing air coming in through a leaky house. So this will be started probably after the first of the year, and it's real exciting to see the work that's going to be done to help folks get their homes more comfortable and to really control their power bills. The First Tennessee Development District Executive Committee met last week and all the mayors from 8 different counties and city mayors met to talk about regionalism. And it was a real productive meeting, so I think, we came up with some good to-dos to get that group engaged, to get the governments more engaged on that. So, of course, you've got the turkey trot up there, so I hope if you can come down. It tees off at 8:30, but I'd love to have you up on the stage. We're going to have a great program that morning. I think the weather's supposed to be warm. Teeny tiny chance of rain, but I don't think it's going to. But please come, wear your shirts, and it starts at 8:30, folks. So if you're not registered, you can go online at jcturkeytrot.com and sign up. Get this beautiful shirt. Anybody want to hold their shirt up? Mr. Calhoun, look at that.
This is your shirt. You want
All right, look
There's
at
one over
that.
here.
Your kids are going to want that. Yeah, trot all out. There you go. And great medallion. It is on the sleeve, you'll see the sesquicentennial, the 150th, so this is our 150th running. Yeah, there we go. So, very good. And I think the Seagrave may be making a little bit of a sneak preview at the Turkey Trot. The Turkey Trot made a fairly large contribution to help restore the Seagrave. And so I think they may park it inside the Cardinal Park there, so people can get a little bit of a sneak preview on that, so we're thankful for it. Janet, you have anything for us? Did you find some new money?
We're collecting taxes.
All
so-
right.
Good.
Good stuff. All right.
I have one more thing.
One more thing.
I wanted to put a shout out to our police department. They have a program, Shop with a Cop, that's coming up.
Yes.
We had a presentation at our morning Rotary group, and the lady did a great job, a female police officer, about it. And it was such a great presentation that our Rotary group is donating money and going to send a bunch of volunteers to help. But they're getting together at the old Fairmont Gym on Thursday, December 12th, giving them Chick-fil-A lunch and going to take them out to go shopping. And it takes 100 police officers to do that. And we don't have enough on duty and off duty to do it. So they recruit police officers from ETSU, from Jonesboro, from surrounding areas to go do it. And they get this best day. And they show videos of all the things and the pictures. And it's a great program. So Elizabethton's even starting it this year. And they're helping Elizabethton get it going because it's such a great deal. So they get the names of the kids from the schools, kids that need it and things. So anyway, just our policemen and women are doing a great job, so thanks for all of
Well,
that.
speaking of Rotary, you just kind of toggled, and
The bridge.
Commissioner Hunter down there, Rotarian, and you and Commissioner Fowler, we dedicated the bridge, the new bridge in Founders Park, which looks great. If you haven't been down there, have you seen the emblems on it?
The
Those are
rotary-
really
rotary wheel
great.
there? That's
Yeah,
great.
that's really great. So we appreciate all the work and commitment that Rotary has to our community. Anything else? All right, meeting adjourned.
She said lunchtime.